This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
It's also frightening to see how low of a priority the program is. Nitro is going to be preempted for a David Copperfield special on TNT. Not only that, but you're going to miss shows for Christmas and New Year's. And, you know, it shakes out to where 3 of the 4 weeks of TV here are not going to air the program. That has to be something that gets everybody nervous. It's one thing to get preempted once a year for a dog show or once for, a tennis match, but man, when 3 out of 4 are preempted, it kind of tells you where you are on the totem pole with the station. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I think it was so bad at that time, and the words, being sold, or, the company, and it's we're not going to air the show and all those things. That's doomsday talk. And I think, going back in my mind, I was trying to somehow just put that out of my mind. Like, this can't be happening. If I shut my eyes, it'll go away. And it wasn't going away. And, when we heard about Eric and investors and buying the company, well, that at least meant the company was going to survive.
Right.
Whether or not I would have been one of the ones to survive with it, who knows? But even a shot in the dark was better than no hope at all.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about the professionals here on hand for Starrcade 2000. And unfortunately, this is the very last one. Well, okay. We bring it back 17 years later as a house show in North Carolina for the WWE, but it's not on the network. It's not a pay-per-view. Yes, the fans are excited in Greensboro, but it's not quite the same. That magic had left long before, but it did start to come back a little bit, at least in my opinion, in 96. It felt like a much bigger show with the NWO there, Hogan and Piper. And then 97, again, really big show, maybe the biggest in WCW history, Hogan, Sting. We keep that momentum going a little bit, and we see Goldberg's streak come to an end in 98. 99 is the Russo show, and it's crazy, for lack of a better word. But this is it, Starrcade 2000. And you want to know why it's it? We just recently covered this with Eric Bischoff, but there's 6,596 fans here, and only half of them were paying to get in. And when you go back to the genesis of Starrcade, and knowing that Starrcade 83 was not only at total capacity, but the traffic was stopped on the interstate. That's how bad the walk-up was, or how big the walk-up was. Supposedly, thousands of people turned away. I've read in excess of 7,000. Other people have said more than 13,000 people were turned away at the door. That's not the case here. Only 3,465 fans paid to get in. Arn, when did you know, hey, the writing's on the wall and we're going to get sold or something? But WCW, as we know it right now, is coming to an end very soon. Was there a moment? Can you look back and think about everything was different after this, whatever that was?
Well, there were backstage rumblings during this period of time prior to Russo, Jesus Christ, Russo, excuse me.
I'm for it. Let's blame Rusev, that asshole. He did it all.
I love Rusev.
A great guy.
He probably was like clothes at that particular time.
Yeah.
Probably a baby.
Yeah, he's 10 probably.
Rusev. There it was. Rusev again. Let me get Rusev off my mind. Okay.
Bro.
During this period, your top guys who weren't happy with Russo and the creative, my understanding was there were some closed door meetings and disagreements, and some guys just got sent home, which you would think would be a punishment. But since they had huge, guaranteed contracts, it turned out being a blessing and a reward to those guys. This was happening a little bit along. You have to understand, but when you have a guy, whoever it may be, a Flair or or a Sting or a Kevin Nash or somebody that's not on the show, you start asking questions. If you're trying to save your ass here and try to, put the fire out in the company, try to rebuild something and make this work, you got to ask why those guys aren't there contributing. That was the first thing that set off red flags with me. You got to have your players. It doesn't matter if there's been an argument with, the guy that's trying to write the show now. It doesn't matter. You got to pull together. This is your livelihood, your family's livelihood. And if a company that size goes out of business, and that was some of the rumblings starting to have, that they were going to company, man, if you don't know much about the business, if you don't realize that makes it now pretty much a monopoly. And the word monopoly scares the piss out of me when it's used to anything except to get a board game. Monopoly is a bad word.
It is a bad word. And to your point, there's a lot of talent that's not on this show. Sting's not here. Booker T's not here. There's a lot of folks who are not on this card. Kevin Nash, you mentioned, is going to be teaming with Dallas Page, but there's just a lot of talent that's not present for this one. And it's kind of weird that we don't have Ric Flair in a wrestling match here. He's going to make an appearance on the show, but he's not in the ring. Well, that's going to put a bow on it. Starrcade 2000. You watched it back for the first time in 20 years, Arn. How disappointing was this, knowing how big of a show Starrcade was when you first came in, and what a major moment it was in your career just 15 years prior to this at Starrcade 85. And now you see the state it's in here in 2000. It's got to be pretty depressing in hindsight.
Well, for me, I got to just, I was having to look at this. I couldn't sprinkle any magic dust on it, or I couldn't put a new coat of paint on it, or I couldn't rationalize it. For me, it was a period of my life that the companies that I had really loved, which was Jim Crockett Promotions, that morphed into WCW, and then it became WCW. And I saw that it was on fire, and the fire trucks were not going to make it in time. And I was the guy that took the call, who was standing in front of the house, and it's 3/4 on fire. And the guy calls from the dispatch, and he says, "Sorry, Arn, we're still 45 minutes away with the fire trucks. We're not going to make it in time." And then there's that moment where inside your head, you just go, this is over. The business as I know it is over. This company is probably going to be done. I can no longer wrestle no matter how much I will myself to do it. I'm just physically not able. It was a really down, depressing time for me, but I was looking at all the jobs, all the dreams, all the young guys like myself of this their entire life, and really wanted to use, make it an occupation of theirs lifelong. And we're never going to have it, because when that company goes down, at least half the jobs in the industry is going to go down the sink with it. And to sit there and have to watch it, it's like somebody's holding my head straight saying, watch the monitor. There's the future. Doesn't look very bright. Not a good feeling.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.